I thank the Minister for his response. Before I raise my supplementary questions to the Minister, I would like to thank PUB and Town Council teams for their very, very hard work in tackling the mass midge outbreak. Speaker, since July this year, residents living near Pandan Reservoir have suffered greatly from the mass emergence of midges. Their homes have been invaded by the midges. Corridors, lifts, and bus stops have been swamped. Cars, buses, bicycles, and motorbikes have been affected. And the midges stick to our clothes, really stick to your clothes, your hair, fly around your eyes, get into your nose, get into your food, and they are everywhere. This year's outbreak is the most severe we have witnessed yet, and also persisted for the longest time, impacting the daily lives of our residents. So some have likened it to being in a horror movie. Seriously, if you visited, it's really scary. I thank residents who took time to join the dialogue sessions we've organized with PUB on the midge issues. There are some really great ideas that have been shared, and I would like to raise some for the Minister's consideration in my supplementary questions. Speaker, I have 4 supplementary questions. First, whilst I appreciate that fogging has been proven to be an effective way to kill adult midges, there are concerns among our residents about the health risk from exposure to chemicals from sustained fogging, particularly as the outbreak has lasted for an extended period. I would like to ask the Minister if PUB can find more effective fogging method to target midges at the reservoir as they emerge and keep them away from residential areas. 2, as the Minister shared, the midges issue cannot be solved or eradicated permanently. There, I would like to ask the Minister, how can residents be supported with insect screens for their flats, as installation of such features are costly, as well as other methods that PUB will consider to protect HDB flats and bus stops from nuisance of midges? Third, the most effective way to deal with midges is to eliminate them at source. So I know PUB uses biological larvicide, BTI, and using tons of it this time at the reservoir by injecting the larvicide into the reservoir's sediment. But you know, despite all that, the problem appears to persist. So I get constant question that I would like to ask the Minister, how PUB determines the effectiveness of BTI in controlling larva population at the reservoir? How can the injected BTI is expected to zero in on the midge larva given the vast area of the reservoir sediment? Fourth, besides installing nets at the reservoir to serve as barriers to midges flying towards the housing estate, I would like to ask if there are more trees and scrubs can be added to also serve as barriers and places for the midges to congregate so that they don't go into people's homes. Thank you.
Thank you, Member. Thank you, the member, for the questions. I think this is a great opportunity for us to go back to our biology lessons. Like I mentioned before, this problem is really man versus nature. It's a kind of war man has never been known to win. Indeed, we can only suppress, we can only do our best, but we have to live with nature. In fact, we are the ones who are intruding into their living spaces. Specific answers to the questions on fogging. The pesticide we use is called permethrin. And this particular pesticide that we use in fogging has undergone WHO pesticide evaluation scheme and will be certified safe and suitable for use. In addition to using a safe pesticide, we also dilute it a lot, so that in addition to just thinking about killing this pest, we also don't want to harm the workers who are using them. So they are used in a way, in a frequency that is known and recommended by WHO, safe for human, safe for the operators, as well as for the people we are trying to help. Secondly, on the insect screens, I think this issue of what you do to help yourselves in your home has been well understood. It has, once you own your property, you own your home, you have to do what you can to protect yourselves, including sometimes we have residents who come to get help, for example, on the leaking or issues which are more pertinent to their own home living conditions. Technically speaking, they should be taking care of what they should be taking care of these issues. But I think there's no harm. We can see what we can do to help. Certainly from the advisors themselves, we can come together and look at what we can do, because this situation don't come all the time, not every year, and to put in something which will become a permanent fixture of what your resident will show itself to be, may also affect the kind of image the reservoir or the places around reservoir should be. So I think we have to be very careful what kind of solution we want to implement with or for them. On BTI, the larvicide that we use to put into the water is a safe biological larvicide. It is actually a naturally occurring bacteria, soil bacteria, which produces spores which are toxic specifically to the digestive system of midge larvae. So as we put in the larvicide, we also monitor the quality of the water. So we can't put so much to kill, because there are more midges in the river. In the end, the quality of the water gets compromised. So there's a trade-off between killing enough or killing so much, or everything we kill ourselves. So we can't do that either. So there is a limit to which these measures can mitigate the issues that residents are facing. Finally, on trees and scrubs, I think we can work with NPark and see first whether these are actually effective ways to prevent the midges coming in. And it's a more beautiful way, definitely, than putting screens. But whether it's an effective way to prevent the midges from coming into people's home, we don't want in the end that we also create new problems, people having different kind of pests because of the kind of trees that we plant near their homes or around the reservoirs.
I thank Minister for his response to my supplementary question. Minister, I understand this is part of nature, but I think for a community that is impacted by that, it's really bad. So I would like to propose for your consideration in collaboration with maybe HDB and other agency, given that this phenomenon cannot be eradicated. In fact, PUB say this may happen more regularly given the climate change. I think we should really seriously consider helping residents with protection against the nuisance created by midges, whether it were helping especially vulnerable families with screens, HDB nets, or definitely in public areas like bus stops, so that it's bearable for people to be in those places to take public transport. So I urge the Minister to seriously consider this.
We will study how we can help residents. In fact, we must also take this in consideration, the kind of things we have to spend for when we try to tackle bigger issues in years to come, when climate change has spawned us. We have not really understood properly how it will affect Singapore. What the Prime Minister has mentioned are only those things that we know can happen and should start working from now. Issues around pests, in fact, more dangerously, and I will mention it in my next PQ, around mosquitoes. They are more imminent danger than perhaps what midges will present to us, and not just to particular areas around reservoir, but in fact the whole of Singapore. So in consideration of all those issues, yes, we will study them, we'll see what we can do for localities, but we also should know that our resources are limited. We have to put focus on what we need to do more importantly, and not over-promise, but better to over-deliver.